Norbert, I appreciate you joining me to do another walkthrough as we release some new features. For those watching, we're really excited today to talk about a feature set that was pretty complicated to roll out, but we believe really meaningful for both sides of the debt settlement ecosystem. Generally, when debt settlement firms are negotiating with lenders and servicers to arrive at different settlement plans, um, often the goal is to get to the settlement plan that's mutually satisfactory to both sides of the ecosystem. But one area that we've observed varying performance across different organizations is when it comes to the break rate or inversely the stick rate on payment plans. So making sure that if I agree to a settlement, every single payment over the term of the settlement plan shows up on time. And when payment plans break, obviously that interrupts a consumer's progress towards debt payoff. It also creates uncertainty on lenders and servicers side about when the cash flow will be coming through that they, in exchange for certain forgiveness, have agreed to. So as we looked at this feature set, really the problem statement that we were trying to solve for is when payment plans break today, that generally results in phone calls between the debt settlement firms and lenders or servicers, and that's administratively burdensome. The second piece is we've observed that a lot of different restructured settlement agreements, which is consumer friendly to restructure those settlement agreements, generally don't get redocumented as amended and restated settlements, which is difficult because then there's no paper trail of mutually satisfactory restructuring options being approved by both sides. So being able to efficiently go through and fix broken settlement plans to improve stick rates and decrease break rates and thoroughly document the different adjustments that have been approved are kind of the things we were really trying to solve with this feature set. So, Norbert, I'd love to have you walk through how we thought about the solutioning here to solve for those different problem statements.
Yeah, and thank you for having me, Dave. So the general problem at hand was how do we approach making this a seamless experience? How do we enable both sides to leverage our platform and software solution to effectively restructure their agreements without the hassle of manual effort, picking up the phones. And so throughout the discovery process, we've identified there are specific types of solutions that come out of that interaction between the counterparties. So we've found the 5 most common practices that both sides prefer when it comes to keeping a settlement agreement in place and just making minor adjustments to accommodate for the unexpected payments not being available due to some circumstances that the consumer may have. And so what we've done is we've basically taken these options and made these available as a setting that our network members can go in and configure so that these options are immediately available. And so this is where I think a visual would be fantastic. So I'd love to share my screen and show you what these settings look like on the network member side.
Yeah, and as you share your screen, one of the really important pieces is different lenders and servicers have different approvals to go through and support different restructuring options. So some of the complexity comes from each lender or servicer has to say, hey, of those 5 playbooks on how to restructure a settlement, here's the one that I have policies and procedures around, and here's my preferred option. But yeah, that's another layer of nuance.
Yep. Okay, so here we can see the setting options available. So right now we did the initial rollout with the automatic approval. So basically, a network member can come in and they can define their settings based on what their policies support and allow. Now, At a later stage, we'll be releasing a manual flow where advisors can really get creative as to the means that it takes to keep settlements on track. But the initial rollout, we focused on these 5 possible use cases. So as a network member, you have the ability to come in and first of all enable this feature, because this might not be something that everyone wants to leverage from day one, although they'd be leaving a lot of savings and opportunity on the table by not enabling it. So when you come in to enable this feature, you basically have the opportunity to define different settings for different types of settlement agreements. So the feedback we've received is everyone likes to look at their settlement agreements according to the length of the agreement itself, and based on the length of the agreement, they might have different preferences as to what leniency they offer in restructuring. And so when as a network member you come in here to enable the adjustment options, you can specify different settings for different plan lengths. Now, the settings are very simple. The settings are really just specifying how frequently an advisor can reach to the payment schedule adjustment option that your organization is willing to tolerate. And so what that means is you can simply specify how many times can a settlement agreement be restructured if the advisor gives you an advance notice. So an advance notice meaning that, let's say you have a payment coming up within 5 days, and you realize because of circumstances the consumer is not going to be able to afford that payment. And so the advisor can then proactively come and request an adjustment. So you have the ability to specify how frequently that may occur to a settlement, and you can have different settings based on the plan lengths. Now, of course, you also have a setting option for how frequently you allow that to happen when the adjustment comes in after the fact. So after the fact being the payment was supposed to be made in the past, and the advisor failed to facilitate that because of insufficient funds, and so now they're coming in to correct course and adjust the agreement so that it can stay on track. And so as we support the different plan lengths, we also need to talk about what are these options. So as I mentioned, we've vetted carefully, and we've arrived to 5 default options that we can support. Now, the nice thing here is your organization doesn't have to enable all the options. So your organization has the ability to toggle each option on and off. And so as the advisors initiate the payment adjustment workflow, they will be presented with the options that your organization supports. Obviously, the more options you support, the higher the likelihood is that the advisor is able to meet those demands and are able to come forward with an adjustment proposal that meets your expectations. And so these 5 options, I think, will be best for me to really display in the advisor experience as here you just have the explanations of each, but really the graphics on the advisor web application make it even more understandable. So I will go ahead and switch over to the advisor screen and show you what these options are. So the first thing I need to do is I need to specify which is the specific payment that I am going to have difficulties making sure it goes through. And so in this example, all of the payments are in the future. So I'm going to select the next one that is upcoming that the consumer will not be able to pay. And so once I've selected my payment, then the adjustment options become visible to me. And so, as I've mentioned previously, walking through the settings, these are the 5 individual settings that the advisors have access to. So if your organization decides not to allow the option of spreading the payment across the rest of the installments, then this option is not available to advisors. And so the advisor here can toggle through and really just let me walk you through real quick. So one option is where the payment will be added to the next installment. So basically doubling up the next payment and then remaining on course for the rest of it. A next option would be adding the dollars that we're adjusting to the last installment. Then the third option is just extending the plan by 1 installment. So in this case, the entire agreement is pushed out by 1 month. Then the fourth option is just adding a new installment within the plan. So this would be a payment of the same amount within this entire range. So here the advisor can select what is the appropriate time that this payment can be made. And so in this case, the term length doesn't change. It's just the single payment gets made at a different time. And then the fifth option was where we would just spread the payment evenly across everything. So once the advisor makes their selection, then they just have an opportunity here to review and make sure. We also need to make sure that the consumer did authorize the change as well. And so by them reviewing and making sure everything is correct, they're also acknowledging and authorizing on behalf of the consumer. And so once they complete the flow, there we have it. And so the adjustments get processed and they are successfully approved. Now, what this means is moving forward, the settlement agreement is now adjusted with the new terms, and so those terms are visible. So we can see that through the future payments. We can see that reflected here. We can see on the payments that the structured payment is now added and the last installment is doubled up. And then the best part is that the settlement agreement has been regenerated and can be downloaded as well from the screen. So both parties can save it for their records.
Cool. So, obviously, a lot of stuff there. Just to recap, I think making that restructuring process digital, making a lot of those different modular options available on demand to advisors, and giving the control to the network members of, hey, here's the structures I support or don't support. Really that's about making the process efficient and going through and then proactively saying, hey, let's mitigate break rates across the board up front. I think that's huge and something that across our network we've heard really positive feedback on and responses to. So we're excited to roll this out so that both sides of the ecosystem can start leveraging it. But if anyone has any questions or suggestions, we really enjoy this design process and would appreciate hearing any feedback anyone has. If there's further things that we can do to help facilitate this process. Norbert, thanks for walking us through today.
Thank you.